Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben's award-winning podcast, as voted by Grow Your Own magazine and by my followers and listeners. So if you're new to the podcast, make sure you click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts, listen back to all our previous episodes, sit back, grab a brew and let's enjoy today's episode. Hello and welcome back to Gardening with Ben for a brand new episode. And first off, I need to apologise because we didn't do an episode yesterday, and I must apologise for that, but I really couldn't be bothered. I'd been on the allotment for most of the day, and then I'd been to the gym and I was just absolutely shattered because I'm starting a new gym workout routine, so I'm getting into that now, and yeah, it tired me out and I just couldn't bear to move once I walked in. I am feeling it today though, definitely aching, and I've certainly been busy on the plot today as well, and that's a workout in itself with what I've been doing today. So we'll talk about what we did yesterday down at the allotment and how we got on yesterday. So yesterday was mainly a day of working in the polytunnel and starting to get that ready for the year ahead, because obviously I'm going to be growing so much in there this year. It's going to be jam-packed with melons, cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, who knows. I'm going to try and grow everything in there. I'm even going to grow my carrots in there as well this year. That is a new thing for me this year, growing carrots in my polytunnel. But fingers crossed, they'll grow. Obviously they'll need watering regularly because they're going to be in a hot area, and yeah, we're going to see if we can get some fantastic carrots for once in my life. But we'll give them a shot and we'll give them a go, and we'll see how we get on with growing the carrots down there in the polytunnel. And obviously you can stay tuned with how I get on via my Instagram page, Gardening with Ben, and my Facebook page as well, where I do share live videos and lots of pictures as well, so you can see how well I'm actually getting on and seeing if I'm being a success or not. And I do show all the things that are failing as well, because I think that's a good thing to do. Nobody's perfect in the world of gardening, and yeah, it's good to show your failures and your successes on how well you're getting on. So then it was basically just tidying up in my polytunnel. It's, like I said, it's an absolute pigsty. I've not used it for the last 2 years, and the weeds that are grown in there, the bindweed that had taken over, wrapped itself around all the polytunnel, and yeah, it's an absolute nightmare. And there were tomato plants in there from 2 years ago what were needing to clear out, so I'm going to have to do a lot of cleaning in there and disinfecting and spraying and making sure it's all spotless before I start growing in there. And hopefully we'll get it done by the end of the week. That's my task, that's my mission. I've been getting rid of the rubbish what's in there, and yeah, it's hopefully going to be pretty much finished by the end of the week. And I'll learn from this not to store too much rubbish in my polytunnel. I say this every time, and every time I come round to using it, I'm having to clean it out first. I'm sure everybody else is the same, but not everybody's a messy gardener like I am. But hopefully we'll get it looking spotless pretty much soon, and then I'll show you a photo inside it. I've not shown you a photo inside my polytunnel, all gone live inside my polytunnel recently, because I don't want you to see how bad it actually is in there. But I will show you a picture of what it looked like once I've finished, so you'll have to stay waiting for that, seeing how bad it actually was. And yeah, that is basically it. And also I just want to say thank you to the 2 messages that I received on Instagram yesterday from 2 of my followers that listen to these podcasts, and one of them was saying that they've learnt so much from me, and they're doing a horticultural course, and yeah, and I said, by means, get all the tips you want, but I'm no expert in gardening. Everything is self-taught, and I have no qualifications whatsoever, so you'll be teaching me stuff soon. But yeah, Thank you for that message, and a message as well for a lady and her son who listen regularly in the car and in the garden as well. So if you're listening to this, hello, you're listening to Gardening with Ben, and this is a shout out for you. And thank you for the messages. It really does make my day when I receive a message from somebody, and it just builds me up, and it makes it worthwhile recording these podcasts, speaking into a microphone, not talking to anybody, just watching the sound waves go by on my laptop as I'm recording. But yeah, thank you for those messages. It does mean the world to me. So, what have we been up to today on the allotment? Well, today seems a lot more productive than it was yesterday. Because like I said, yesterday it was just a day spending in the polytunnel, tidying it all up and getting it all ready. And there's still quite a lot more left in there to do. And I've been burning a lot of the tomato plants, what were left over today, what have been sat there for 2 years. And they went up pretty much easily because they were that dry. They just burned straight away. And we've got rid of all the bindweed what I'd dried out and got that ready in a pile. So we've got rid of all that, so I smell like a bonfire today. I'll definitely be having a good shower today. And we've burnt all that. Then we have been planting my onions, what I've grown from seed. I've grown all my onions from seed this year. I'm not using sets this year. I'm just going to stick to growing from seed. Whether it will be a success or a failure, I do not know. That is the question. But last year I did a trial and I grew from seed and I grew from set, and the seed ones did better than the set ones. So we're going to try growing from seed this year and not growing from set whatsoever. So we've just got one bed of onions, but we've got 3 different varieties in there. I can't remember the names. I've not made a note of them, so I can't tell you what the varieties are, but I know one of them is Elisa Craig, which is obviously a well-known onion. Oh, and I think I've got sturgeon as well. So we've got them 2. It's just the 3rd one I can't remember the name of, but we have planted them outside. Yeah, it took a while to plant them all because obviously you're having to be careful not to snap the onions, and I used a dibber to create the hole and just drop them in, and then I gently put the soil back round them, and we watered them all, got them all watered. Obviously I had to weed the bed first, get all the roots out of any weeds. It had been weeded recently, so it wasn't that bad compared to what it would have been. So we got that dug over and all them planted. I've planted quite a lot in there. There's quite a lot of onions in there, and obviously they won't all take. Some will probably die, but we've got plenty in there if needs be, and we can easily remove some if we need to create some more space in between some, just in case they all do take. But yeah, they're all in, and then I watered them and I sprinkled some food over the top to give them that good start in getting growing. I'm going to try and feed my stuff a bit this year. I don't tend to feed stuff usually, but I'm wanting to feed stuff, so we gave it a good feed to start off with. And yes, I should have probably fed it before I watered it, but apparently it's going to rain and chuck it down all day tomorrow, so I may not even go to the plot tomorrow because there's only stuff in my polytunnel that needs doing, and I might just have a day off, a day's rest from the allotment, because I've not had a day's rest in ages really. So I might just have one chill out day and see how we get on, and I might just use it for a day of planning really. It will still be productive even though I'm not going to the allotment. I'll still be thinking about all the things that I want to do. I may even record some podcasts and get them pre-recorded ready for when I'm back on night shift on Friday, so that you've got some podcasts to listen to all the way through. And if you've not checked out my other podcast channel called Gardening and Allotment Tips, please do check out that one. It's still about 200 subscribers behind this one, so I know there's plenty of people that haven't subscribed to it yet, so go and check that one out. It's got over 50 episodes on there for you to listen to, and a lot of people are enjoying that podcast as well, so please do go and check out that one. So once we planted the onions, they were all done and fed. Then we moved on to planting my potatoes. yes, I finally got my potatoes in. These are my first earlies what I've planted. No, they're called second earlies, not first earlies, second earlies. And I had chitted these in my shed, as I showed previously about chitting potatoes on my YouTube channel. If you've not checked out that, Gardening with Ben, everything's gardening with Ben, even TikTok. I'm on TikTok, but I don't do no good dancing. Don't follow me for the dancing. But yeah, I've planted my potatoes, and the varieties that I've planted this year are Charlotte and Nicole. And I was watching Gardener's World the other day, and Monte was planting Charlotte, so that must be a good variety if Monte's planting it. So they're all chitted and they're in the ground, and on them they've all got little shoots popping from them, and that's what chitting is. It starts them off, and it increases the production probably about 10 days or a fortnight. You'll be picking them about a fortnight earlier than you would do if you hadn't chitted them, and that is the difference in chitting potatoes. I'll not be planting any lates because one bed's enough for me. I think I'd planted about 40 potatoes, so hopefully we'll get a good crop from them. And I didn't want too many because I don't want to take up too many beds, so we planted those. And my onions and my potatoes I've planted in what used to be my strawberry beds. I've moved all my strawberries this year into a new area, and hopefully these new strawberry beds will really take off. They're looking good, my strawberries, they're all taking, and they're all starting to get leaves on them, so hopefully we'll have a fantastic looking allotment. And one thing that I've seen today is Mr. Ratty. Whether there were more than one, but I've only seen one out at a time. And guess where he is? Where my bird feeders are, what I've put up. So obviously the bird seed is attracting Mr. Ratty. The question is, do I carry on feeding the birds, or do I just ignore Mr. Ratty and see how we get on? He's not causing no damage whatsoever, so I'm more inclined to carry on feeding the birds. Obviously it would attract the rats anyway, but I just don't want a big family of rats. And the best thing is he came out from the side of my shed, so I don't want to see him in the shed. That's the only thing. I know he'll be in there somewhere, but yeah, I just don't want to see him while I'm in the shed because it's a confined area. If you're outside it doesn't matter, but when you're in your shed you don't want to see him. It'll be like Tom and Jerry when he's jumping on a chair. But yeah, definitely. Hopefully it is alright, he's not causing any damage. And yeah, he was just eating all the seed up what were on the floor. It was my friend that I saw him at first, because my friend came down and brought me some coffees, which is always nice to see him and have a chat. And we saw it, and yeah, I've seen him quite a few times today, so he's out and about. So that's that done. So we've planted as potatoes, we've planted as onions. Then this year, for the first year ever, I'm going to start feeding my fruit. I never usually feed my fruit, I just usually water it and let it grow naturally. But this year I'm going to give it some food to see how well a difference it makes and see if it does. And I purchased some ericaceous feed, which is what you dilute, and I've also purchased some seaweed feed as well. So 2 bottles. I think the Miracle Grow and something else, but I purchased 2. Got them from Morrison's. They look quite good, so I purchased them. And the seaweed feed said it feeds up to 300 litres, and I can't remember how much the ericaceous feed is. But for the ericaceous feed, it's only for my blueberries, so that shouldn't go down too fast. So we've planted blueberries a bit ago, and I've had 2 blueberry plants for a while now, but there just doesn't seem to produce a hell of a lot of fruit. So I'm wanting to increase my crop of blueberries, hence the reason why I bought 2 more blueberry plants. But I feel like they could produce a lot more fruit if I looked after them and fed them. So we have purchased this efficacious feed, and my plan is to feed them once a week with this food because it says every 7 to 14 days on the bottle. So I'm going to feed them every 7 days and see if it makes a difference. It says you will notice healthier plants in 7 days. Whether we do, I don't know, but it's worth a shot. And obviously, it's going to chuck it down tomorrow. Today is quite dry, so I thought I'll give them a good drink of it today and see how we get on. So we fed all them, and then after that, I fed all my strawberry plants, my gooseberry plants, my grape. I fed that. I fed my raspberry canes. I fed my plum trees, and I fed my climbing roses with this seaweed feed. So hopefully we will get bigger and better crops this year. Whether it does, I don't know. But the bottle was only like £3-4. So if it does, if I don't notice any difference after a few feeds, then I won't purchase another bottle. I'll just leave them to grow as they are. But it's worth a shot. You could get double the quantity. You never know with feeding them. But does anybody else feed their fruit? Obviously, you can use manure and stuff like that. But I just wanted to try the liquid feed to see if we get any improvement on that. So yeah, if you do feed yours and you notice a difference, please do let me know. Or if you recommend any products, please do give me a shout. I'm always on the lookout for gardening advice and tips. And like I said, I don't usually feed my plants, so it's a new one for me. And hopefully, when we get all this produce in the ground, we'll hopefully be feeding them on a weekly basis as well. So we might need to get some more bottles of feed, but I always feed my tomato plants. That is one thing I do because all the nutrients go from the compost quite fast. So I always feed my tomato plants, but I've never fed my actual fruit plants and my vegetable plants. So we're going to look at doing that this year to see if we do get a bigger and better crop. And obviously you'll see my results, and I'll certainly show plenty of selfies with all my strawberries and my blueberries and stuff like that. Everyone loves a good selfie. I know I certainly do. And obviously you see quite a lot of those on Instagram on a daily basis. Whenever I'm at the plot, I always check in at the plot to show you that I'm at the allotment with a different picture. So yeah, it has been very, very busy. So we've got all that done, and I've also watered all my seeds as they'd all dried out in my greenhouse. We've watered all them today and got all them ready. So I don't know, like I said, if we'll be going to the allotment tomorrow, but we'll see. I'm also meant to be meeting some friends tonight, so we'll see if we meet up with them. And obviously, I don't want to be drink driving, which I'm totally against. So I wouldn't drive to the allotments if I'm under the influence. So yeah, tomorrow might be a day off and recording some podcasts and also sending some information out via my Facebook page on all the tips and advice that I'd share on a monthly basis. So yeah, it's going to be a good day, and then hopefully we will be back at the allotment on Thursday, and that's a definite, as I've just had noticed that my birdhouses have been delivered to my parents, what I purchased off Amazon. Once they've come, I'll take pictures and I'll share a link with them on my Facebook page so that if anybody else is interested, they can get them. But yeah, we've got the birdhouses, we've got 4 of them, so hopefully we'll get 4 families of birds moving in, and I'd love to see more blue tits down on my plot as well, because encouraging birds to the allotment is brilliant, especially around near your fruit trees, because they'll go around eating all the grubs and all the insects off the fruit trees and stuff like that, and they'll stop them from getting eaten by getting your fruit eaten by all the grubs and stuff like that. So attracting the birds is definitely one good thing to the plot. So hopefully we get 4 families moving in, but we'll have to wait and see to see if we actually do. So when we're down on Thursday, if the weather's decent, the thing I'll be doing is finishing off my polytunnel and then starting to do all the painting on my plot, getting all that done. We've found out plenty of paint. I can't believe how much I've actually got in my polytunnel. I must have purchased so much and not actually used it. So hopefully we won't have to spend any money buying any paint for the painting of my allotment up. We'll just have to see how well it does in one coat. Obviously they do say one coat on these paintings, but they never actually are one coat. I'm sure you'll all agree. Hopefully we'll see how they get on with 1 or 2 coats. Some of it's new wood, so it'll probably need a couple of coats on it, but some has been treated before, so it might just take 1 coat. But we'll see how it looks and how it gets on, and how bored I get of painting. But yeah, we've done all that. So yeah, it's going to be a very busy week down at the plot this week, and hopefully I do need to get my pond finished off and get that sorted, because we need to get the stones around it so that the frogs have got somewhere to hide once they start coming to life. I had a look at the frog spawn today. It looks okay from what I can see, but you never know until it all actually starts hatching and starts wriggling around when they start to become tadpoles. But we'll see how we get on about that. But yeah, that has been today's podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed it. We're going to go and record an episode for Gardening and Allotment Tips podcast now, so make sure you go and check that one out after this one. And like I said, if you've never listened to that one before, there's over 50 episodes on there. If you're new to this podcast, make sure you click that subscribe button, make sure you click that follow button, and if you've not left a review yet, please do leave a review either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, because it helps it get noticed a lot more on all the platforms, and I really do appreciate those that have done that already. So until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben's podcasts. So thank you for listening to today's episode of Gardening with Ben. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Remember to do click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts. Feel free to share them on your Instagram stories so that it spreads the word about my podcast and we get lots more listeners. Feel free to check out my social media sites, Facebook and Instagram as well, Gardening with Ben, and also my YouTube channel, to stay up to date with all my handy videos, how-to videos, and sharing my tips and advice. And feel free to check the link as well in the description for my Gardening with Ben t-shirts. Lots of funny gardening design t-shirts in there for you to purchase at great prices too. So thanks again, and as always, remember, keep smiling and keep gardening.